Welcome back to the shop. Got some things done. We got the bell housing all buttoned up. Bolts are in. The clutch is done. It's all in there. I actually turned it over a couple times with the screwdriver with the coil unplugged just to make sure nothing funny happened before I get the tranny slid up in there. Got the slave and master cylinder in. There is the master cylinder. I have not buttoned up where exactly I want my braided line to go, but there's my clutch line, kind of doing a little wave there down to, you can't see it from here, down to the master slave cylinder. We can jump down there real fast and show you that. Got the flywheel installed and the spacer behind it. I have a little bit of issue here with the spacer and the exhaust pipe. As you can see, I took a hammer to it a little bit, see if I can move it out of the way, but I didn't want to move too much. But I'll get a pry bar in there when I get the bell housing on partially and bend it down a little bit. Doesn't have to go too far. Just has to go a little bit to get that lined up right there. I went with a bushing rather than a bearing. One, because of the terrain I'm in, with it being sandy and muddy. Bearings tend to dry out and fail. And two, this isn't going to have a lot of road time. There won't be a lot of hours on it. And three, it came with the kit. So that's just what I used. So went ahead and did that. Got that pressed in there. Getting ready to install the clutch and pressure plate. After I brake clean this surface, it's still got the packing oil all over it. So get that cleaned up with some brake clean, get that installed, then we'll be ready to throw the bell housing and clutch arm, and then work on the master and slave cylinder. I got it put together and bled, and I'll show you guys that here in a little while. Still need to get my tranny line, cooler lines out of here. Just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. Just need to unhook them and yank them out. So we'll get the clutch in here and check back with you. Alright guys, here's my clutch setup, my hydraulic clutch setup. That's my reservoir. That's a used reservoir out of a Ranger. Same with this. That came out of a Ranger also. Same year as the Bronco. The fittings I used were Russell fittings from Summit Racing. The part number is right there, 640281. They say it's for a clutch fittings with quad rings, Chrysler Jeep 3AN, but they work in the Ford clutches. So I have one down here on my brand new slave cylinder, and then I have one up here on my used master. That brake, or that line here, is a dash 3AN braided steel 30-inch brake line, which, you know, between the two, it's no difference. You're not going to have any higher pressures in your clutch as you are in your brakes, so it works either way. It uses the same fluid, so I see no problem with that. Had the bench bleed it. Basically made a T-handle with an extension and a socket to fit in there. Pump, 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 pump. Got air out all the way up through. No air anymore. Actually, there was so little air in there, it started pressing real hard against that and broke my retainer, but I should still be able to get it put together. But yeah, that is the setup I'm going with. The braided line is going to be much better than that plastic line that Ford puts in stock. And plus, to go from that bell housing to that slave, they don't have a pre-bent plastic line, so I have to go with custom. So I figured out you can buy those fittings and buy a line, connect the two to an F-150 slave, to a Ranger, or F-150 slave, yeah, to an F-150 master. You're golden. As long as you have the same reservoir as that, you're good to go. So I'll finish up putting that in there, and then we get to put that together. There she is, all buttoned up down here. There's the slave cylinder in. It is in its mount. It's good to go. There's the bell housing in. The starter is bolted in. Clutch is 100% in. Ready for a train to slide up in here. Wasn't too bad to get the bolts in. Had to beat up my exhaust a little bit to make it fit, but I think it'll be good. It's not really hitting the flywheel anymore like it was, but only a startup will tell me that. I did do a little bit of the measurements. I have to cut about almost 6 inches back. Basically follow this line here. I've already had that cut out for a shifter cable that came down from the automatic transmission. Cut straight back over, straight back forward, right about where that bolt hole is, and that should be right where my shifter is going to come out. I'll cut that before I slide it up in there, so I don't have to put it in there and try to cut while holding the tranny in there, and that'll be a big pain. I did some more measurements, and I have my stock mount coming off of my radius arm brackets, my stock cross member. Looks like it's going to be right in the same area, which is awesome. So I'll be able to use that, and that really helped my radius arm mounts stay strong by keeping that mount there so they didn't flex as much, and really helped out with the integrity of those. So yeah, hopefully here soon we'll be ready to slide a tranny up in there. A couple of things. I got the top cover taken off. Looks like I have a plastic slider bad there. That one's missing. The one's there really good on that clutch fork. That one looks good, but that one is broken. Not good. I took it off because if I flip it over here, this hole right there is an old bleeder or vent tube hole. Well, it's not threaded, and the original one that was pressed in there is gone. So what I am going to do is I have bought one of these. It's just a little barb with some threads on there. A 1/8 NPT threads, which is perfect to tap that hole. I'll run a tap in there, screw this in there, and and I'll run a hose somewhere. Now, water can still get in through the shifter hole, I know that, but at least this will be a little bit extra protection instead of just an open hole on the top of the transmission. So with all that, I got the top cover off, and I decided, well, we better take a look inside the tranny. So I'll show you what I found. All right, top cover's off. Looking through, everything looks okay. Not bad. I don't know how many miles are on it. It's a 1979 tranny. No idea how many miles. No idea if it's ever been rebuilt. Don't know any of the history. I bought it for like $50 off this guy. He said it was great, good to go. This is the bearing, front bearing retainer. Well, that's the replacement I put on there. And I'll show you where I got that in a minute. I'll show you what's wrong with the old one. Actually, I have it sitting right over here. This was the old bearing retainer that was on there. It's aluminum. I think I showed you in the previous video, but dented pretty bad. Can't really tell there. Dented pretty bad. That bolt was all buggered up. And if you see right there, there's a crack right there at the base. No good. Luckily, I had this other tranny. I was able to salvage parts off of it. Well, took the cover off, decided to dive in here. Would you look at that? That gear doesn't look the best. I think that's reverse. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. I need to look it up, and I'll post what it is. So yeah, that one doesn't look the best. That's okay. Then I looked farther down. That guy down there has me worried. I think that is first gear, which is, oh look, there's my other plastic slider off one of my shift forks. That's funny. I think that might be first gear. Don't quote me on that. I'm still unsure. I'll know all of it here soon because I'm going to dive in because I am not going to run that gear or this gear. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to take this training back out just because I can see a couple gears now. Luckily, I took the top cover off because originally I wasn't going to take it off. Well, I decided to take it off because of that vent. Good thing I did. So another good thing is I got this tranny. This is another T18 tranny, two-wheel drive obviously. This is the one I got the bell housing off of. I bought off a guy. And when I got it, the shifter was gone. The cross member mount's broken. That doesn't matter to me because I'll be using the one that's on there. That one seems fine to me. And the bolts were out of the top cover. And I asked him, I said, is everything okay with this tranny? He said, yeah. He said he drove it before he tore it down. So I said, okay. I needed that bell housing because it was going to cost me more than $100 on like eBay or something. And nobody wanted to split up a tranny bell housing. Understood. No problem. So I picked it up. I was like, it'd be nice to have extra parts. Well, come to find out, I'm going to need those extra parts. So, I didn't even look in here before. I just tightened down the bolts so I could just move it around. Let's have a look. By the way, I just picked up this Milwaukee impact and drill driver set. Love it. Before that, I had a crappy Craftsman set that I've had for years. Just barely keeping it alive with batteries, and I was down to like 1.5 batteries because one battery fell in the pot of gasoline, and that didn't end good because one, the clips to hold the battery in place broke, and then it was soaked with gasoline. Well, I let it dry out, and it still works, but whatever. I actually bought a no-name battery off of Amazon, and that battery has really done awesome. So, can't complain with that. It's one of the larger capacities. I actually have it sitting over here. I'll show you guys in case you're interested. It is this battery right here. Here's my old impact. This battery right here, inner jup. 4 amp hour sucker will last forever. And it's just a no name off of Amazon. I've ran that thing to the ground. And here's my battery. This is a true Craftsman battery. This is the one that broke and fell in gasoline and still works, but you know, doesn't have the capacity it used to. Whatever. I got this new Milwaukee set. Can't complain with it. Got a good deal on it. Brushless set. Another thing while we're talking about tools, one of my favorite tools I just picked up. I got a really good deal on it. Is this right here. This Milwaukee 3/8 inch ratchet. I love it. I also got some generic batteries for it, and this battery has lasted a long time as well. So I got the tool only. I got it for a steal, like $50. So you can't beat that. Yeah, I've used the crap out of it already, and I'm still, you know, half battery. So that's awesome. Love that thing. It was one of the tools I really wanted. Was one of the reasons I went to Milwaukee was because of that. And Milwaukee has a right angle impact. Anyways, let's get back to this. Let's open up this top cover so we can see what's going on inside here. I have no idea what gear it's in. Guess I could put my shifter in, but alright. Alright. Looks like I got some plastic clips I might be able to salvage there and there. At least 2 of them. I think I only needed 2. And hey, what do you say? That gear is in much better shape than that one, huh? I think so. Let's look down and see if we can see that bottom gear. Hopefully it's in good shape too. Oh yeah. Oh, score. Totally worth the buy. Totally worth it. I'll check everything else while I'm in it. It's got some nice sludge down there in the bottom, but I'll check the sink rows, everything else. But yeah, that gear looks nice. A little bit, but not as bad. Remember, this is just a trail vehicle. But that first gear will be used a ton. Yep, she's in good shape. See if we can zoom in on it. There we go. Pretty good shape. Little bit of rounding on the edge. Same as this one here. But I can't complain for, you know, a tranny that I was just going to throw in the dump because it was basically useless. And nobody was going to buy a 1990 F-150 two-wheel drive tranny. The good thing about these T18s, between the two-wheel drive and the four-wheel drive, exactly identical except for the output shaft. Output shaft lengths are different, obviously, for, you know, well, actually, there's 3 different output shafts. You have this one with the long tail housing. The early 70s ones, they had just the stub coming out of the back of the tranny. And that one is the longer shaft to get to the T case. And this one's even longer to get all the way back to that stub. So, can't beat that. Looks like I need to clear a spot in the workbench and start tearing these suckers down and swapping parts over. Make one good one out of 2. It's always good to have extra parts, but it kind of sucks we have to do it because I was going to slide the tranny in and then decided I wanted to tap that hole and made a whole lot of extra work for myself. Oh, and I also, another good thing is, see that right there, that plug, I snapped that plug off. Well, that cover right there has a good one on it, so I'll swap those as well. That's for my reverse lights. Alright, well, we'll get back with you when we start to rebuild this. Thanks, guys.